No matter if points are gained or points are lost, there will be much to discuss. For analysis regarding tonight's Winnipeg Jets game, here are Dave Manouk, Ezra Ginsburg, and your host, Drew Mindell. The Illegal Curve post-game show starts now.
Good evening, Winnipeg. Good evening, Manitoba. For all those joining us live this evening on our YouTube channel and all of our social media platforms, we welcome you to the Illegal Curve post-game show. Drew Mindell, Dave Manouk, and the brand new, in case you missed it this morning, Illegal Curve beer, IC beer, courtesy of our friends at Farmery Brewery. As it says here on the can, I don't know if I can scan in close enough on it or where my camera is for that matter. Illegal Curve Hockey times Farmery Brewery. It just tastes better. You're absolutely right about that. We say hello again to everybody who joining us after it's been a good 6.5 hours since we last got together earlier this morning for the Illegal Curve Hockey Show. Back together again to talk about the Jets' victory, come from behind victory in Mullet Arena. 5-3, the Winnipeg Jets defeat the Arizona Coyotes this afternoon, Dave. A game that, from my perspective, looked very early like it might be slipping away from the Jets, especially when Arizona made it 2-0. And I have to say, I am impressed by the stick-to-itiveness of the Winnipeg Jets and their refusal to go away in this game and a refusal to feel bad about themselves based on how the game started through the first 25 minutes or so.
Well, Drew, I mean, again, I have no proof of this, but to me, I'm wondering if Nino Niederreiter is listening to our show because, I mean, after all the glowing things we talked about with respect to him and the Jets need to give him an extension, he goes out there and has the game of his season so far. And, of course, as did Brendan. We didn't mention anything about Brendan Dillon, but maybe we should have because.
Well, we will.
Yeah, we will, of course. But I meant like earlier in the show. And no, I mean, look, this is a game the Jets played. The start of it was not a great start for Winnipeg, but you absolutely had to like the way they concluded that effort or played throughout the middle period. And then of course concluded it with that win because, there's a lot of heavy hearts there with, the Adam Johnson situation, of course, with so many of the Minnesotans and connections and obviously Neil Pionk, the most significant of those, but all of the Minnesota guys. And again, the hockey community is not a big community. So not just limited to Minnesota guys having that connection. So, there's a lot of emphasis. And one of the things you mentioned it this morning, but I'll reiterate the point. The organization is going to charter a plane for those guys to get them to Minnesota tonight. So they'll have a chance to be at the funeral tomorrow and the celebration of life, which is on Monday Monday.
Yeah, Monday, Sunday, Monday. You're right.
Yeah, where Neil Pionk will be speaking and the guys will be attending, and then they'll get to St. Louis on Monday. The Jets are actually staying in Arizona. This is a bit of an unusual move, but they're going to stay in Arizona. Not really hard to understand, though, Drew. Pick an extra day in Arizona versus going early to St. Louis. Yeah. So they're going to stay in Arizona to dip tomorrow. I believe they're practicing tomorrow, and then they'll fly to St. Louis on Monday and get ready for the Blues. I believe that game's on Tuesday, correct? So
the game that is correct. It's on Tuesday. I wonder if I think the Cardinals are playing at home tomorrow. I'm going to double check on that real quick. No, they're in Cleveland. Never mind.
Okay, no football for those guys. But anyways, regardless, it was look, there was a lot of Jets fans in the building and this was the game that we talked about it. I mean, it wasn't as if the Coyotes were a bottom feeder team. This is a good hockey team. This is a team that was ahead of the Jets going into today's action. The Jets leapfrogged them by 1 point now into third in the Central. Trust me, we're not doing standings watch just too soon. But the fact is that the Jets needed to pick up the 2 points. They got it, and they got the efforts from the team, right? I mean, we saw a lot of good efforts. Nino Niederreiter, of course, Brendan Dillon, Mason Appleton continues. Yeah. I mean, I said it during the game. I mean, Mason Appleton is tied right now for points with Mark Scheifele, Nino Niederreiter, and Kyle Connors. So there's a 4-way tie right now, I believe, for first in Jets scoring. And, maybe that speaks to something else. But regardless, I mean, we talked about it. That contribution from that Niederreiter, Appleton, Lowry line has been fantastic. And we've talked about it, I think, throughout the course of the season, that Nino Niederreiter is the kind of guy who, when you put him on a line, he just adds an element that every line is going to be happy to have.
He makes the line, but he makes his teammates better. He's one of those guys who makes his teammates better. You saw it tonight. Look, anytime that the Jets can get 5 goals and they come off the stick of Nino Niederreiter and Brendan Dillon, this team is likely going to succeed. I mean, great for Brendan Dillon, and we'll break it all down when we get into the Betway game recap coming up here in a few minutes. I thought Neil Pionk played a very solid game. I really was you don't cheer for victories, but sometimes you cheer for good things to happen to people. I was sort of hoping Neil Pionk, when he had that opportunity, I think it was on a 2-on-1 sort of later in the game, I was sort of hoping he'd be able to get one, because Mike McIntyre wrote about it. You just referenced it, about his relationship and the emotions that he's been feeling as of late. So I was sort of hoping that he'd be able to pop one. But look, this is a Jets team. That first period was not a pretty period, really, by either team. But it was not a pretty period for the Winnipeg Jets.
One shot in 12 minutes.
One shot in 12 minutes. Sleepy 1 o'clock start time in Arizona. That's what it was. You can sort of understand why it was a little bit of a snoozer for the first period. But the Jets got better as the game went on, and they began to impose their will on the Coyotes. And this is a Coyotes team that's playing their 3rd game in 4 nights. Something that, I'll be honest, I wasn't really aware of until the game started. And then I saw our buddy Craig Morgan referencing it on Twitter, social media, whatever. But the Jets got better as the game went on, and they began to take it to the Coyotes as the game went on. And to me, that's a pretty good sign that they found their game. I mean, you look at the Corsi 4 in the first period. Yeah, the Jets still had the better of the Corsi, but it wasn't dominant. It was close enough to be a bit of a coin flip. But from the second period, the Jets had almost 75% of the possession. Third period, when it's a tie game going into that third period, the Jets had almost 60% of the possession. And as important as the comeback and the victory is to me, Dave, what's equally important is that once the Jets got that lead, they maintained it. And they didn't really give up very many grade A chances when the Coyotes were still pushing to get back into it. Yeah, Arizona, in that late power play, maybe they had a chance or two, but that was towards the end of the game, certainly. But the Jets, I thought, did a really good job in that third period in maintaining the lead and not letting a quick strike Arizona team strike back. And then the Jets obviously got the insurance marker on the Niederreiter hat trick. Look, lots to work on, obviously, still always is going to be, but a good win for a Winnipeg Jets team to end the losing streak that they had been on, having lost 3 in a row entering tonight's game.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny how we can go, well, it's amazing how you can adjust it, right? Well, you lost 3 games in a row. Well, now they have points in 3 of the last 4. I mean, there's so many different ways.
Narratives.
I was going to say, there's so many different narratives you can try and spin it and say, okay, well, it's this or it's that. Ultimately, look, this is a Jets club that continues to find their way. I mean, they're absent, of course, their head coach, who continues to be with his wife, which is what we is understandable, of course. And I think it's a situation where, without Gabe Vilardi, you're having to see guys step up. We talked about Nikolai Ehlers today, and I thought he had a much better game from him, and some of the things he did. That slap pass on Niederreiter's second goal specifically was nice, and there are a lot of really nice plays that the guys made. And again, like I said, it's not just about one thing that stands out. I think overall, you don't like to go back to the Claude Noel-ism. You don't love to see that free all-you-can-eat pizza. All toppings pizza that Mark.
That was an all-you-can-eat buffet for like $2.99. That's what that giveaway was by Mark Scheifele there. That led to the Coyotes' second goal.
And the funniest part and the interesting thing is, look, the Jets, that could have been a momentum killer, right? Because you think you're feeling good about the game, and then suddenly it's 3-2, and the Jets don't allow it to impact themselves. So I mean, I think, again, it's a young Coyotes team that we're watching, and they're, of course, still developing and learning. But look, Vejmelka's a good goaltender, at least against the Winnipeg Jets. It always seems like
he has been.
Yeah. So you're always kind of expecting, I mean, there's a reason why they use his name as a verb, for God's sakes, because he's always been very effective when he plays against Winnipeg. And so, look, I think it was one of those games where you were curious to see if this team had the fortitude to withstand some adversity. I mean, they put themselves into the position they put themselves in, down 2-0. And again, ultimately they fought back and they came back and they won. So you're not pleased if you're the coaching staff with that start, because it was sleepy. I mean, they didn't have, they had one shot through 12 minutes or almost 12 minutes of that first period. So you don't love that. But again, you like a number of things. The penalty kill was a little bit better and that sort of thing.
And yeah, they gave up a power play goal to the Coyotes, but they at least scored one of their own. So if you can be even on your special teams, relatively even in terms of goals for and goals against, 5-on-5, we know that this team has been playing good hockey at 5-on-5. So, from that perspective, you'll take that. You'll take a draw on the special teams right now when the special teams have struggled so far this season. Obviously, you want them to improve, and obviously you want them to be more on the positive side of the ledger than just even. But nonetheless, that power play goal that the Jets scored, the one that tied it up again, you can't overstate how important that Niederreiter power play goal was. This was Nino Niederreiter's, everyone knows how good of a player he is. Everyone knows how impactful of a player he is, and that's on Winnipeg or on any of the teams he's played with. But this was a win that, he holds a ton of responsibility for.
Oh, yeah.
He carried this team through sort of the muck that they were in to start the game, him alongside with Lowry and Appleton, because the whole line was terrific again.
Yeah.
They carried the Jets through. They dragged them through the muck until they could find their skating legs, which coincided with, of course, the Coyotes beginning to slow up a bit as they were feeling the impacts of 3 and 4 nights. So when you have a guy like Niederreiter, he just makes the players he plays with better. And I mean, we talked about it this morning. A contract extension for him seems like a fair, a no-brainer if it can come to fruition. But I wouldn't mind seeing him just anytime a line is struggling, he's sort of got to be the Mr. Fix-It on for the Winnipeg Jets.
Well, and Drew, I asked this question at the final minute of play in the third period, and I'll put it to the chat right now, and all of you can give us your answer.
You're by yourself. Who did you ask it to?
Twitter.
Oh, okay.
My friends on Twitter, Drew. My friends on Twitter.
Yeah.
So the question I posed to the folks on Twitter, and now I will pose to these folks here, fine folks in the chat. If you're watching that game, would you rather see Brendan Dillon get his first ever hat trick, or would you rather see Nino Niederreiter score his 4th goal of the game and win someone $100,000? So 1 for a Brendan Dillon hat trick. 2, although actually, now I think about it, I'll just create a poll so we can get everybody to vote. I'll do that. You don't even have to do the ones and twos. I'll create a poll.
You create a poll, and maybe I'll start with the Betway game recap.
Well, hold on, but Drew, but actually, no, I was going to ask you your opinion, but then that could influence people. People listen to you, so let's just create a poll.
Based on, most people, they're not asking for my endorsement, is what I got to tell you. I think most people are looking to do the opposite of what I'm saying. For the record, my answer would have been, I think I'd rather see a Brendan Dillon hat trick than Niederreiter 4-goal game, just because I think a Dillon hat trick is more unlikely to occur than a Nino Niederreiter 4-goal game. But in any event, Dave is getting that poll up and running. You good folks can vote on that. It is a Saturday afternoon, late afternoon, early evening, the Illegal Curve post-game show. We do this each and every Winnipeg Jets game, and of course we break down the game and break down the goals with the Betway game recap.
The Betway game recap.
Betway game recap brought to you by our great friends at Betway. You know Betway is the title sponsor of this post-game show. That's why it says Betway in that bottom right corner of the screen. If you're looking for a place to make a wager or two responsibly, of course, we do recommend our friends at Betway, official title sponsor of the Illegal Curve post-game show. So as we mentioned, a bit of a mucky start to this game in Mullet Arena in Tempe, Arizona. The Coyotes opened the scoring 5.5 minutes into the game. It is defenseman J.J. Moser jumping up in the play, and he's taking the pass from Matthias Michelli, and he's depositing it past Connor Hellebuck to give the Coyotes the 1-0 lead. Logan Krause with the secondary assist on this one, and it's a pinch. Josh Morrissey is up. He's pinching in the Coyotes offensive zone, and Scheifele and Connor are both hanging back to try and be responsible, but they were still also a little bit on the aggressive side, a little too aggressive. They get caught up ice, and Moser is is able to get back, half a stride ahead of Mark Scheifele. Not great defensive coverage by the Winnipeg Jets in this instance, but a very nice shot by Mr. Moser, his second of the year, to give the Coyotes a 1-0 lead 5.5 minutes into the game. Dave's on mute. Plus,
Dave's on mute. Dave's on mute because he's tweeting, he's creating polls, he's doing all sorts of things, Drew. Usually when we have the benefit of Mr. Ezra Ginsburg here, I don't have to worry about that. Usually you can go to him, you'll see I'm on mute doing
just
other
for
things.
the record, for the uninitiated, such as yours truly, where is this poll? Because is it on like our YouTube channel?
Yeah, it's on YouTube.
Okay, so
I don't do it through here. I go onto YouTube, which for the record was on. Like, it was funny because I was going to tell you when you made the show live. Like, why can I hear? It's almost like it's an echo. I'm like, what am I hearing right now? Then I realized I had the YouTube thing was on as well. So so if I just went into our YouTube channel, which is sometimes where I join folks for a chat before the game ends, and I created the poll there. So you can always do that, Drew, if you choose to. But you're more of you're not such a man of the people. You like to be, you're a little more reserved. You keep yourself. Yeah, you're an elitist. That's
let them eat cake is what I always say. But anyways, 1-0 for the Coyotes 5.5 minutes into the game.
Yeah, and one thing I want to give the Coyotes credit for, because it was definitely noticeable, is I love the crowd ambience. I love the college atmosphere, and people can say whatever they want, make all the jokes they want about Mullet Arena, but there's a sound, there's an ambience that comes out from the folks that are there, from the band, from that college atmosphere. Drew, we've seen games at UND, so it is electric to watch college hockey. There's a lot of fun in the building, and the kids
college
are always having
sports in general are sort of
for
having
sure.
more. Are electric with, if you've never been to a college sporting event, and this is a bit of a digression,
sure,
be it
that's what we do on the show.
I know, basketball, hockey, football, any sort of U.S. college, it's a great atmosphere because the bands are there and they put on a great show. And there's just sort of a constant cacophony of noise going on. And I say that in the good sense of the word. Sometimes a cacophony can be bad, too much noise. Not in college sports. There's just, it adds so much of the atmosphere to the experience.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And so, the atmosphere was pumping with the early Coyotes goal. And you're right, Drew. It's a bit of an aggression from Winnipeg, and they find themselves down 1-0 with that relatively early marker by the Coyotes. And you're kind of, again, you're wondering what's going to happen with this Jets club. I mean, look, 1-0 to the Coyotes isn't like 1-0 to Vegas or Boston, but still, I mean, again, Arizona's not feeling bad about their game, right? I think they're 3-1. They were coming into tonight's action 3-1-0. Against at home at Mullet Arena. And the other thing that you and Ezzy were talking about today on the show, I guess I was there too, but the fact of the matter is that the Coyotes coming in today's action were +7 or +5, sorry, and the Jets
+7 in goal,
+7, and the Jets were
-5.
Yeah, and the Jets were -5. So I mean, like, the Coyotes have a decent team. And again, this is not wrote about this in the papers this morning. This is not last year's Coyotes. Logan Cooley, boy, that kid can fly. I mean, he is unbelievable what he can do, and what his speed can do. So he's going to be a nice young player for years to come for this Arizona club. But I mean, it's a bit of an over aggressive position by the Winnipeg Jets, and as a result, they get burnt.
Yeah, and they do get burnt there, and it's 1-0 after 20 minutes. Jets mustered a grand total of 3 shots on goal in that first period. So as we said, definitely a slog in that first period. Not the Coyotes were great.
No, it was, what was it, 6-3 total or
8-3 is what the total was. And
yeah.
I mean, power play, the Jets got an early power play. Logan Cooley went off for slashing. The power play did nothing at that point in time. Although the penalty kill didn't get burnt after Josh Morrissey took a high sticking penalty shortly after Moser made it 1-0. So that's all the blood that was drawn in the first 20 minutes of the game. And then the Coyotes make it 2-0. And
right.
Liam O'Brien, who is, got a great Irish name right there. And I'm pretty sure that him and Murphy did some bad stuff together on that Seinfeld episode. But nonetheless, O'Brien gets his second of the season assist to Jack McBain. This comes early in the second period, again in that 5-minute window, 5:49 of the second period, and it's 2-0. And this is, I mean, look, this is a human being making a very, very making an error, and that the human being in this instance is Mark Scheifele, and Mark Scheifele doesn't make this mistake very often. This isn't bad defensive positioning. This isn't lackadaisical back checking. This is just a just flubbing a chip next to the green, and it ends up on the stick of McBain, and he tucks it behind Hellebuck, and then O'Brien is there to clean up the garbage to put it in the net, and it's 2-0 for the Coyotes at this point. And I think a lot of Jets fans at that point in time are getting a little nervous because you haven't seen a lot of life out of the Jets yet during this game. At this point in time, you're almost 25 minutes into the game. You're down something, and there's not a lot of the patient is pretty close to flatlining at this point in time.
No, you're right, Drew. And it is one of those instances where you're watching this play develop, and really the Jets don't. There's nothing. There's no. Connor Hellebuck has a clean pass over to Brendan Dillon. There's a little bit of pressure on Mark Scheifele, but again, the safe play is generally obviously to keep it behind the net, not to go right through the house. And he sees Brendan Dillon. What he doesn't see is the Arizona Coyote who's going to intercept that pass. So it's a bit unfortunate from Mark Scheifele, but like I said, it may be one of those instances where you want to hear Connor Hellebuck giving him a little more of a heads up, maybe a little more of a talking to. Neil Pionk wasn't exactly super strong on O'Brien when he had a chance, right in the blue paint there. He couldn't really tie him up. He was a little late on that one as well. But yeah, I mean, it's just a bit of a breakdown from, it's a huge breakdown from Mark Scheifele. Right. And then Neil Pionk is just a shade late trying to get over to tie up the stick. Can't do it. And O'Brien puts it into the back of the net. And there's no chance for Murphy there, and the Jets are down 2-0.
Yeah, exactly right. 2-0, and you're thinking, oh boy, is this losing streak going to continue, or the winless streak, I guess, going to continue? Yeah. And then it became the Nino Niederreiter show. And he just took over this game. He was too much man for the Coyotes to handle, particularly right in front of Karel Vejmelka and the blue paint. That's where he makes his money. He gets his third of the season. It comes less than 2 minutes after the Coyotes made it 2-0. So a quick response by the Winnipeg Jets. Niederreiter, his third assist to Mason Appleton and Josh Morrissey. And this is a really nice passing play, and it starts in the Jets zone after the Coyotes, I believe in this instance, had a 2-on-1 opportunity that didn't come to fruition. The Jets transition up the ice with speed. I believe I think 4 of the Jets' 5 players that were on the ice, not including Hellebuck, of course, touched the puck to result in this goal. And Niederreiter goes hard to the net, and Appleton puts the puck right on his stick, and Niederreiter deposits it past Vejmelka, just going hard to the net. As we know from Nino Niederreiter, the majority of his goals are going to be within a couple feet of that blue paint, and this one was no different.
Well, I mean, how many times have we talked about guys needing to go to the dirty areas and fight in front of the net and create goals that way, and not try and create the prettiest of goals? And the Jets took advantage of a quick transition. I mean, this was, if you remember, this is what burnt the Jets against Vegas to start this road trip, where when Lowry's shot went wide and the late change by Lowry and Dillon allowed Vegas to have that quick rush up the ice, and they finished it off with a goal against the Jets. Well, here in this instance, the Jets, are lucky that the 2-on-1 doesn't burn them. And then, like you said, Drew, they basically have everybody involved. And it's a real nice pass by Appleton, but it's also a really nice play by Nino Niederreiter to keep his stick on the ice, stay in the front of the net the way he needs to do, and the way he does. And that's why we've talked about him this morning. Again, obviously absent knowledge that he was going to have a hat trick today. But the fact of the matter is, we talk about a guy who keeps doing all of the right things. And everybody who watches this guy understands that. And that's why, as he said, it was such a steal to get this guy for that second, just for the kind of the run. But that knowing that you'd have him for that second year, and knowing that at a reasonable amount of money, to me, and again, we'll get into it, obviously, why he continued to look like a guy who's earned his money. But Nino Niederreiter, really nice play. And again, that's what the Jets need more of. They need guys who are willing to go to the dirty areas. And that third line is full of guys who are willing to go to the dirty areas. Adam Lowry, Mason Appleton, Nino Niederreiter, none of those guys shy away from the front of the net. Right. And so to me, Nino Niederreiter, again, really smart guy. And it seems to me like he's earning that opportunity to secure a long-term spot if he wanted here in Winnipeg. Of course, that's his decision to make, but he really seems to be doing what he needs to do because he's so steady. He really is so steady. He's not necessarily that Swiss Army knife, even though he's Swiss. He tends to designate other folks in that category. But it really is, and it's important, right? It's just over 2 minutes after the Coyotes had taken that 2-goal lead, so it's a really big goal for the Jets, and it really gets their juices flowing, because it wasn't, as you said and as you touched on, it wasn't as if the Coyotes were dominating them. They just weren't necessarily getting all their shots through, and they were possessing the puck quite a bit throughout the course of the first and second. But that now you get that reward. And then when you get that reward, you get your team going a little bit. And that's what it ended up doing for Winnipeg.
No question. 2.5 minutes later, 10:05 mark, not exactly 2.5 minutes, but close enough. Brendan Dillon, and first goal in 31 games. I would have expected it to be our Seagram shot of the game, but that'll come a little bit later.
Yes,
Brendan Dillon gets his first of the season, assist to Nemesnikov and Cole Perfetti, and it's a nice pass from Nemesnikov, and it's not the prettiest of all goals, but it looks beautiful to Brendan Dillon nonetheless. Sort of, bit of a cue ball, bit of a not even a knuckle ball, it's just sort of like a change up. The pass was sort of in tight to him, so he didn't get all he wanted on the shot, but he got enough of the shot to squeak it through Vejmelka, and the Jets have battled back to tie it at 2 after playing a pretty average at best start to this game.
Well, two things you want to highlight on this goal. First of all, how many Jets fans were in Mullet Arena? Because there were a lot.
There were about 1,000 of the 5,000.
Yeah, like honestly, like every time, it sounded like a little bit of a home game. I mean, there were a lot of Jets fans cheering for Jets goals. So good on them that they got to see a good hockey game. But I mean, to me, the play is also exemplifies the abilities of Cole Perfetti and Vlad Nemesnikov. And we'll talk about Vlad Nemesnikov, that Swiss Army knife, as so designated by
professional hockey players. I mean, that's what the Jets have this year on their roster. And I've used that phrase more than once already, and it's only game number 11, but it's a team that's got a bunch of professional hockey players.
Well, and to me, it's the in tight plays that they're willing to make that without panicking. Yeah. And they're calm with the puck, and Perfetti, especially in tight spaces, Kyle Connor is exceptional. It's actually amazing to me because Kyle Connor really is exceptional in that sort of regard. But Cole Perfetti, you can see what he's gleaning, what he's learning from some of these veteran guys. And he doesn't show panic. He gets the puck over to Nemesnikov, and Nemesnikov himself makes some nice, as Dennis Bayak would say, tight turns and in tight and gets that puck over to Dillon. So, yeah, I mean, it's a huge boost for a Jets club that, again, like I said, they felt like they were playing the right way, potentially towards that second period, at least, Drew, but they weren't getting the reward. Now you're getting the reward, and good on Brendan Dillon, right? I mean, he goes in a little deeper than you might expect Brendan Dillon to be.
Not where you expect to see him.
And but if he's not there, of course, that goal doesn't happen, and it's a 2-1 game still. So good on him for anticipating and seeing that there's an opportunity for him to move up in that regard, but also really good vision by Nemesnikov to find him in that in tight, and also for Kupari being where he needed to be in front, kind of creating a little bit of havoc. Because that's, again, it's amazing to me how many times we look at a stat sheet or we'll watch a play and we tend to forget who did what or who did something that was not necessarily showing up on that stat sheet that's as important as all of the other things that happened, right? So, and again, like, we saw an instance of that in the Moose game, for example, where on the power play, Brad Lambert gets the goal, Capobianco and Chibrikov draw the assist, but Jeff Malott is in front of the netminder taking away the eyes. If he doesn't do that, there's no goal. And so he doesn't get a point, but it's part and parcel for that happening. So good on Kupari drawing attention to himself, and then, of course, leaving Brendan Dillon open to put that in and tie the game 2-2.
Yeah, 2-2, and the Coyotes, though, they lots of scoring in the second period, folks, as you well know. But the Coyotes regained the lead, and this one's a power play goal. And this one, the penalty kill on this opportunity had been good for the most part. The penalty kill for the most of this game was good. This is just, they have just a small breakdown, and that's all it takes for other teams to capitalize. And this is what happened here. It's Logan Krause, his 4th of the season, assist to Bjugstad and Carcioni at the 14:47 mark of the second period. And again, it's just you can't let seam passes go through. This one does. It ends up on Krause's stick, and he deposits it past Connor Hellebuck, and the special teams come back to bite the Winnipeg Jets yet again, giving the Coyotes a 3-2 lead, still with over 5 minutes to play in that second period, Dave.
Yeah, no, Drew. And one of the things you don't want to see if you're the Jets is giving up that lead that quickly. I mean, they had done a pretty good job throughout. I think it came with 6 seconds to go or 5 seconds to go, or maybe even less. On the power play.
14.
No, 3 seconds
to go. 2 seconds.
Yeah. Okay. Whatever it is, we'll agree to disagree. But whatever.
No, it was 2 seconds. Yeah.
2 seconds to go. Okay. Yeah. So I mean, look, it's not a it's a bit of a tough situation for Winnipeg because again, you're feeling good about your team's effort so far, and you're back in the game, and then just a few minutes later, and it's just an inadvertent bounce, right? I mean, the puck goes off of like Hellebuck makes that initial stop, and then the rebound goes right to him, and then David Gustafsson just can't tie up Krause, and so then it ends up in the back of your net. So yeah, I mean, you do see that happen, but I mean, again, it's not the best special teams effort, but that's the way this team, Schmidt kind of, unfortunately for him, does it. When he's turning, he pivots, he's got the puck on his stick, and then rather than putting it to the corner, he inadvertently puts it right to the middle. And of course, that's where you don't want to put it because there's an extra guy there standing there, and he puts it into the back of that net.
Well, then the problem, the problem on the special teams here is, sure, you want to tie up guys in front of the net better, and but it's the cross ice pass, it's the seam pass that got through. Now, the seam pass itself didn't lead to the goal specific, but you don't like seam passes getting through there because those usually lead to trouble, oftentimes, whether it's on the direct shot or on a rebound, as it was in this instance. So Arizona retakes the lead 3-2 at that point in time, but to the Jets' credit, again, Nino Niederreiter on the power play. I know I've said his name a whole bunch of times tonight. This is his second of the game, his fourth of the year. It's a power play goal for the Winnipeg Jets. This is with Barrett Hayden in the box for interference. Great pass by Ehlers. And again, where's Niederreiter on this one? He's right in front of the paint. He's right in the blue paint. And you can see him calling for the pass, and he puts his stick basically just right on the ice, and Nikolai Ehlers hits him perfectly, and it goes into the net. And it's Neil Pionk, good for him, also getting the assist. But what's most interesting about this one is that the supposed second power play unit got the first opportunity here, and they came out on the ice and they took advantage of it. And frankly, on the 3 power plays that the Jets had, I thought the second unit maybe was a little simpler and a little bit more dangerous, and they get rewarded to tie the game up at 3.
Well, and that whole play, Drew, started because Nino Niederreiter was behind the net agitating, and he's an agitator, a building agitator, perhaps. But the fact of the matter is, he created that opportunity for himself ultimately, but he created it for the Jets because he went behind the net again into the dirty spot behind the net to get a little rough and tumble and force that puck out. And he does. And then of course it goes around, they wheel it around, and he ultimately makes, again, just a smart play. He knows where to be. He's got his stick down. Nikolai Ehlers, again, great vision. No surprise there. He makes that perfect shot pass, whatever you want to call it, right onto Niederreiter's stick, and of course into the back of the net. And you've tied that game. And again, I don't think that the Jets needed that to be tied 3-3 going into the third period. Otherwise they were going to crumble. But I think it's just based on how they've been playing. They've got to feel good about themselves because, and again, about Niederreiter specifically, because he had been playing such a effective hockey game. So for Winnipeg to tie it there with that tip, I mean, again, that was what, 2 minutes after Arizona had taken the lead. So it was bang, 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 bang throughout that second period. But you're again, like I said, you're liking the fact that the Jets, again, one thing we've seen from the Jets, they seem to be scoring goals this year. They're just not preventing a lot of goals as much as you would expect with Connor Hellebuck in net, and we can talk about that after. But ultimately now again, Nino Niederreiter, there's going to be a lot of we'll be lauding him throughout this course of this broadcast because he was so effective throughout the course of this game.
He certainly was, and you're right. To your point, it's not that if the Jets don't score here, or if the second period ends with them down a goal, that the game is all wrapped up. But it's certainly a boost for them to keep battling back, while at the same time, a bit demoralizing for the Coyotes, and maybe their legs get a little bit heavier, knowing that they were up 2-0, and all of a sudden the start of the third period is with them tied up at 3 goals apiece, and that's where it was after 40 minutes. And then the Jets take the first lead of the game. It's Brendan Dillon. It's his second of the season. It's his second of the game. It's his second in 31 games. It's our Seagram shot of the game.
The Seagram shot of the game.
Big thanks to our friends at Seagram's. Here's my mini fireball that I just keep handy. Anytime Ezzy gets a little out of hand, I just have this always within arm's reach to be able to Serenity Now myself. But big thanks to our friends at Seagram's for their continued support of the Illegal Curve post-game show. And, of course, that's a beautiful shot by Brendan Dillon. He walks in and he steps into it. Assist to Appleton, assist to Lowry. Man, that line was so good tonight. And we saw it on, no matter which stats you subscribe to, traditional emotional or the ones with an analytic bent, they were fantastic. But Brendan Dillon walks in here and just absolutely snipes it past Vejmelka. It goes post and in to give the Jets their first lead of the game at the 3:23 mark of the third period, Dave.
Yeah, and look, again, what are we seeing? We're seeing everybody active, everybody involved in the play. David Gustafson starts it off by getting the puck in deep, and then Adam Lowry goes into the behind the net, and he works to get that puck to the, back to the point. And then Mason Appleton with the no look kind of skating backwards, tip over to Dillon and Drew. And Brendan Dillon, like that was all the way. They heard that all the way.
He can fire the puck. He's not
Yeah.
an offensive dynamo. No one's ever going to confuse him for Bobby Orr.
No.
But we do remember that he could shoot the puck pretty hard. I think in the Jet skills competition, he's usually right up at the top of the hardest shots, and he demonstrated that in this instance and during the game.
No, there's no question about that. I mean, it was an absolute rocket. They heard it all the way back in BC, I suspect, in his hometown, but there's no home province, I guess, but there's no question about it. It was a beauty. And again, like I said, to me, the bigger thing is the fact that everybody was involved. The puck kept moving around. And I think, you're confusing the Coyotes and you're not taking so long. And then there's almost nothing you can do. I mean, I think the book must be on Vejmelka is to shoot high, because that did seem to be kind of the MO of the Jets throughout the course of today's game, was to really try and get him up in that top corner. But ultimately, I mean, Brendan Dillon is just, it's hard to stop that kind of shot, even if you have it and you see it all the way. But really nice. And again, it's a good third period goal. Can't remember exactly, 3:23 into that third period. So, I mean, that's one of those momentum creators for a Jets team that, again, like I said, overall, they're feeling good about the way they've played this hockey game. And now they're thinking, okay, well, let's just keep the foot on the gas and keep rolling and pick up 2 points here.
And then they did keep their foot on the gas as the insurance marker comes just under 4 minutes later. 7:16 mark. Nino Niederreiter gets his hat trick, his fifth of the season. Assist to Lowry and assist to Brendan Dillon. And it's chaos in front of the net and get a puck through. And this is what it happens. It's interesting. It wouldn't have been Brendan Dillon's goal, even if Niederreiter doesn't have to poke it over the line. It would have been Adam Lowry's goal. Dillon with the shot, though, and there's so much traffic, it just sort of pinballs and it gets behind Vejmelka and it just sort of stops on the goal line. And of course, Nino Niederreiter is within centimeters or inches of that goal line, and just little cue ball with the stick to push it over the goal line and give the Jets the 5-3 lead, and give the Swiss Matterhorn, as our buddy Scott Billick is trying to get people to call him, give him the hat trick and the Jets the 2-goal lead.
Sorry, Scotty. Nicknames, line names. That's an IC sort of thing. It's not a Scotty Billick sort of thing. But look, I mean, ultimately, what you're looking for here, Drew, is guys creating chaos. And Adam Lowry in front, Nino Niederreiter right there, right above the blue paint. I mean, it's exactly what you wanted to see from this Jets club. Again, pushing hard to to increase their lead, right? I mean, this comes less than 4 minutes after they'd taken the lead, courtesy of that Brendan Dillon goal. And now Nino Niederreiter. I mean, again, like I said, I don't know how many people were anticipating coming into today's game. I mean, it's the first hat trick since Kyle Connor scored one against the Canucks. I think it was a 7-4 game back in January of 2023. Not many, of course, last year. I think last year they had 5 total hat tricks. So January was the last one. So they had quite a few leading up to that point, of course. It kind of dropped off. No surprise if you think about it, Drew, as the Jets dropped off come January, February, March.
So did the hat tricks.
So did the hat tricks, of course, but not quite the 8 I think they had in 17-18, of course, when Patrick Laine was scoring a hat trick. It seemed like every other day. But look, Nino Niederreiter, it's a big effort from him. And it's not the prettiest of goals, but it's a reward goal for a guy who has done a lot of good work throughout the course of the season and of course of this game. I mean, I think it was Kim who pointed out, even though he wasn't getting points, I mean, all those shot blocks, and that's kind of what I was talking about, right? Things that don't necessarily show up in the score sheet or don't necessarily show up in the stat sheets, I should say, doesn't necessarily, sometimes you tend to, why does this guy only have X number of points or whatever it is? Meanwhile, Niederreiter was doing a lot of the right things. Well, now he's getting that reward. And that goal, I think, was emblematic of the fact that the guy's getting rewarded for really good effort throughout the course of this hockey game.
Yeah, and that's what it was. And the Jets ultimately wrap up with a 5-3 victory this afternoon in Arizona. They are able to keep the Coyotes off the score sheet for the final 13 minutes of this contest, which I think is certainly an important feat for this team, not known for being able to traditionally not known for being able to traditionally shut down opponents. They were able to do so, and which made our Farmery illegal curve beers taste all the better here on the post-game show.
Big shout out, by the way, Drew, before because I've already heard from the folks at Farmery that some people were heading out to buy some illegal curve beer. So we appreciate the support already. I wasn't anticipating that. And we even had someone tweet at us saying that they had poured one and they bought a Farmery class. So they were drinking it. It was like the red backpack or something like that. I'll go back and check it out. And maybe I'll have it for when we come back, Drew. But
there you go. Again, something to look forward to.
There we go. little
breaking
ice news.
Yeah, something else to look forward to. We'll talk about the Moose game. We'll do a Tough Duck hardest hitting comment. Much more to come. Don't go anywhere. Drew Mandel, Dave Manouk, we're with you on a Saturday evening, wrapping up the Winnipeg Jets 5-3 victory over the Arizona Coyotes. This is the Illegal Curve post-game show.
Your coworkers love you because you always make them laugh. You're the life of the party with stories that have them rolling on the floor. Or maybe you're just the quiet one in the corner with the one-liners that just slay. Do you have what it takes to become Winnipeg's funniest person with a day job? Try your luck. Hit the stage at Rumors Comedy Club, and you could be walking away with $1,000 cash. Winnipeg's funniest person with a day job. Presented by Rumors. For all the details, head to rumorscomedyclub.com.
So you're a pizza person, you married a wing person, but somehow your kids are salad people. You can't pick your fam, but you can pick your BP meal deal, starting from $18.99 for takeout or delivery at bostonpizza.com.
The game can change just like that. Accidents happen when you aren't protected. So now what? Getting to your injury quickly can make all the difference. Help prevent them from being game changers with Linden Market Dental Center. Bonding, crowns, bridges, and dental implants. State-of-the-art treatments are available to help you get back in the game. To learn more, visit lindenmarketdentalcenter.com. Creating smiles for life.
Whoa, Ezzy, everything okay? You look stressed.
Of course I'm stressed. We're moving, the house is upside down, the kids failed miserably at packing the fine china, and my life is in chaos. Chaos!
Yes, that does sound like a problem.
What am I going to do?
Ezzy, relax. Rolly's Transfer Moving and Storage is the answer. With 60 years of experience in moving Manitobans and a track record of exemplary customer service, one call to Rolly's and your stress is gone. No job is too big or too small. Just visit Rollies.com and they will take it from there.
Thanks, Dave, and thank you, Rollies Transfer Moving and Storage, online at Rollies.com.
Boston Pizza harnessed Fanalytics to test if the game is better at home or at Boston Pizza. The results are irrefutable. Catch the game at Boston Pizza, powered by Fanalytics.
Are you dreaming of your very own backyard rink this winter, but dreading the work involved? Well, stress no longer, because the Rink Guys are here to make it happen. The Rink Guys are Winnipeg's first outdoor skating rink installation and rink maintenance service. The Rink Guys offer free site evaluations and different rink construction options. Plus, they use a custom-sized liner to prevent any damage to your lawn. Lighting packages are also available to help illuminate your rink during those long, dark winter nights. To get your rink started today, visit therinkguys.com. For 3 generations and over 80 years, Tough Duck has been making apparel that works and plays as hard as the people who wear it. From jackets to work boots and everything in between, Tough Duck's clothing can handle the harshest environments, even the Illegal Curve hockey show. Work to live, live to play. Visit toughduck.com. ToughDuck.com. Drew Mandel, Dave Manook, the Illegal Curve post-game show rolls on. We remind you that the next post-game show will come Tuesday after the Jets and the Blues, another Central Division matchup. So that'll be about 9:30 or so on Tuesday night. So you can join yours truly and Mr. Manook for all the latest on the Winnipeg
And
Jets
Ezzy.
and the St. Louis. Yeah, Ezzy will be here on Tuesday night, I guess, as well. I forgot about him. Sorry. I mean, I assume that at least he'll be sober by then. You know, it's a 50-50 shot if he's sober.
He did pick up quite a few IC beer.
Yeah, he got very excited. You folks don't really understand how monumental this occasion is. To
If you follow Ezzy on Instagram, you understand.
That's true. I guess you might actually know by now. After this many years, you might have an idea just how monumental.
He's a big dumb animal, folks.
But he's our big dumb animal, and that's what that'll never change, and that's the way we like it. So big win for the Winnipeg Jets by a 5-3 margin over the Arizona Coyotes, a division win, which is always important. And then again, another couple division games upcoming against the Blues on Tuesday, and then the Predators on Thursday, and I guess again the Stars on Saturday. So 4 straight games in division. Now that I think about it, as the monkey in my brain is working hard to get me some new information as the show rolls on this Saturday evening, Dave.
Yeah, no question about it, Drew. But hey, this is our second show of the day, so
yeah,
we are soldiering on. We're I'm not. I don't think I'm speaking out of turn by saying that I'm not surprised, because we have a very generous province here in Manitoba, and folks right now in the poll seems to be 62% are in. Well, actually, I should have asked Drew. Now, I mean, I've already revealed it, Drew, but
yes.
It's 62%.
62% is the answer.
Yes, 62% are in favor of Nino Niederreiter getting his 4th and winning someone $100,000. That's with 130 votes in so far. So we'll see if there's any more votes. We'll leave it open. Maybe I'll leave it open because of course there's a lot of you who watch it via replay. You don't get necessarily a chance to watch us live, or you listen to the podcast. Maybe you're listening to the podcast and you're like, oh, well, I want to vote in the poll. And you go on YouTube and then you vote in the poll. So we'll leave that poll open. We'll see what folks are saying about that. And, maybe while you're on the podcast listening, or while you're on our YouTube channel, you're leaving comments. You're dropping a comment there. You're dropping a rating. You're doing whatever. We appreciate it regardless of what you choose to do. But if you can, it's always appreciated by yours truly, who continues to hammer it home that if you can, leave that comment, leave those things. We appreciate it. Helps out with the algorithm, whatever.
There you go. Here's something else that also helps out with the algorithm and helps out, keeps the audience engaged. It's the Tough Duck hardest hitting comment.
The Tough Duck hardest hitting comment.
We're going to acknowledge him. That is Rain. He is the winner of tonight's hardest hitting comment. One thing to notice and realize is after Nino finally got the domino to fall and scored on the empty net, he's been red hot. Rain says he's finding his groove and rhythm. Nino Niederreiter is. I'm not sure if Rain has found his or not, but there you go. There is the Tough Duck hardest hitting comment. Rain, REIGN. Send me an email, drew@illegalcurve.com, or slide into my DMs at ICDrew, and we'll hook you up with a toque courtesy of our friends at Tough Duck, longtime sponsor of the Tough Duck hardest hitting comment, longtime supporter of Illegal Curve hockey. So we thank our friends at Tough Duck for their continued support, and congratulations to you, Rain, for your victory. So the Jets win 5-3. What happened with the Manitoba Moose? We'll find out right after this.
Put on your antlers. It's time for the Manook Moose Minute on the Illegal Curve Hockey Show.
That generally means it's my time to shine, and the Moose
shine away, shine bright, Diamond, shine bright.
The Moose were not shining. They played a strong game. The only mistake the Moose were making today, unfortunately for them, in that first period at least, was they decided, you know what's a really good idea? Let's just keep taking penalties. And again, similar to what the Jets have experienced, when you take penalties against really good power play teams, it's not generally a very good idea. And the Rockford Ice Hogs are the best power play team in the AHL. They actually have, I think they were 32% or something like that. So it was not a good decision by the Manitoba Moose, because they've been playing a really good game. They've been controlling the puck. Their skating was excellent. So it really did look like, but they sunk their own momentum, unfortunately for them. And Rockford had the first power play. And you got to give the Moose credit, because even though the Rockford Ice Hogs have the best power play in the AHL, they didn't actually give up a shot. Moose, of course, this is being on the PK, didn't give up a shot. So you're like, okay, well, that was pretty impressive. But then they took another one, and you're like, okay, well, let's see what they can do. And they killed it. And you're like, okay, they've given up one shot in 4 minutes on 5-on-4. It's pretty impressive. And overall, they're controlling the play. They're doing their thing. But unfortunately for the Manitoba Moose, they got a third time Drew was not the charm, and they found that they got burnt. And although time was expiring, similar to that Jets one, there was only, I think, 3 or 4 seconds left in this one, and Michael Tepley got the game going for the visitors to give them a 1-0 lead. But a minute and a half later, Axel Janssen-Fjällby, the man AJF, he gets a beautiful pass, finds himself some soft ice in front of the net. CJ Cease with a nice little, kind of what Niederreiter did with behind the net, used his body, created some space, grabbed that puck, took a look over the shoulder, hit Axel Janssen-Fjällby, who put it up and over, his third goal since joining the Moose. And it was a 1-1 game, though less than a minute later, the visitors took advantage of a breakdown at the Moose blue line, or the Moose blue line. And then it was a 2-1 deficit for Manitoba after 20. But then the man, the myth, the legend, Big Brad Lambert, he gets his 5th goal of the season in 7 games. It was a real nice one. Kyle Capobianco, he would be he would be mentioned quite a bit throughout the course of this game, because he had 3 assists throughout the contest. And Nikita Chibrikov, who was doing the nice reverse Cy Young, he gets the secondary assist. He, at that point, had 1 goal and 8 assists on the season. But Lambert, really nice shot, creates some space for himself. And again, Jeff Malott, this is what I mentioned earlier in the broadcast, Drew. He's in front, creating havoc, and now they've got a goal. So he doesn't get a point, but without his effort, there's no goal there. So 2-2 after 40 minutes of play in Winnipeg. But the Moose give up another one. Cole Gutman makes it a 3-2 game for the Ice Hogs. I think it was 9 minutes into that third period. And then they give up an empty netter with a 6-on-4 that was during a power play. And so now it's 4-2, and it's looking like it's over. But then Nikita Chibrikov, ruining his own Cy Young big, Drew, he gets the 2nd goal of the season. And as someone jokingly said to me after on Twitter, this was about 20. It was still from about 20 feet out, because he'd just been around the blue line, but it was probably 20 feet closer than he scored his first goal, which was around center ice. So Nikita Chibrikov floats one in to make it a 4-3 game. But the Moose, of course, were not able to do anything with the down with 7 seconds to go. So they lose it 4-3. They are now 4-3, 0-0 on the season. They're back at it tomorrow afternoon. The IC zone, those tickets are already accounted for. And so, you'll have to wait if you want to go to see the Moose till next week against Laval. We'll have tickets. I believe we have tickets for that. I haven't checked. But if we do, we'll give them away on Tuesday or on Thursday. But yeah, the Moose fall 4-3 to the Rockford Ice Hogs, who they were jockeying with, similar actually to the Jets and Coyotes, very similar in the Central. Those two teams were neck and neck. Again, a little early in the season when teams have played 6 and 5 games to start talking like that. It's a long season, as Christian Reichel reminded me. But the fact is that it's just the one thing you want to look at quickly for the Moose is the kids are all right. The kids are doing real well. Brad Lambert, he's up to 10 points, 5 goals, 5 assists. Nikita Chibrikov, 2 goals, 8 assists. Kyle Capobianco, I think he's 4 goals, 7 assists. So he's got 11 points in 7 games since joining the Moose. And there's a lot of guys who are doing well. So it's and Jilkin, I think, picked up another assist today. So the kids are all right. They're doing some good things. And like I said, it'll be an interesting rematch. Tyrell Bauer told me last week he had a nice big hit. We'll have this all in the recap. But like I said, this is another one of those situations where we'll see if they're able to hold. Tyrell Bauer joked with me, not joke, serious, I think, but he said, we don't lose 2 in this house. So we'll see if he can hold to that tomorrow.
Final thought tonight goes to Mason Appleton via Bailey, the official intern. The quote is up on the screen, but for those of you on the podcast, this is Mason Appleton. Quote, if we clean up our specials a little bit, special teams, and if we keep playing the way we are playing 5-on-5, we're a dang good hockey team and we're going to win a lot of games this year. There's Mason Appleton after the Jets defeat the Arizona Coyotes this afternoon by a 5 5-3 margin. The next game for the Jets Tuesday night in St. Louis, 9:30 or so for the Illegal Curve post-game show. Go ahead, Dave. Yeah.
I didn't want to interrupt you too hard, but I just wanted to say, because we talked a lot about Nino Niederreiter, we talked a lot about Brendan Dillon, and I think we've talked a little bit about Mason Appleton, but just to reiterate, I mean, look, we spoke about it with respect to David Gustafsson in terms of needing to do more. Look, Mason Appleton already is up to 9 points in 11 games. He had 16 in 41 last year. So he is, and again, it's not all about points, but he's contributing it in a lot of different ways for the Jets, of course, on the PK. But if you're getting contributions on the score sheet from the Mason Appletons, it's a very good place for this Jets club to be. And I know Mason Appleton always had a big belief in himself. The 2015 6th rounder for the Winnipeg Jets, of course, played a lot for the Manitoba Moose. Yeah. And I knew that, I've heard the way he talks, it felt about his own game and where he could be. And look, if you're going to get that sort of contribution from Mason Appleton, Adam Lowry, and Nino Niederreiter, if you can clean some things up, as he talked about on special teams, and there's still going to be more effort you're going to need more from those top two lines, however you want to configure them. This Jets team can make some noise and can do some damage. So it'll be interesting to watch. And again, we'll see how they continue this into St. Louis and if they're able to roll along the way they were against the Coyotes.
For all your additional post-game information, illegalcurve.com is your destination. Dave will have news, audio on the Jets game and the Moose game, of course, and that's your destination all the time, not just after the games, before the games, between the games, anytime Winnipeg Jets news breaks, that's where you head. Big thanks to all of you for joining us both this morning and this evening for the Illegal Curve post-game show and this morning's Illegal Curve hockey show. We hope you have a safe and healthy Saturday. Want to say a big thank you to all of our sponsors. Frosty has them up on the screen. Our friends at Rumors Restaurant and Comedy Club, Farmery Beer, home of the Illegal Curve beer. Be sure to get some of that. Get it there tomorrow when Farmery is open. They're actually open tonight, I think, until 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock. So you can still go there tonight and get some beer. Tell them Illegal Curve sent you. Linden Market Dental Center, Betway, Zappia Group Realty, Tough Duck, Boston Pizza, Seagram's, Rolly's Transfer, and the Rink guys support these fine businesses because of their continued support of Illegal Curve hockey. Thanks.
Drew, I was really hoping, sorry to interrupt you again, but I will say quickly, I was really hoping that I'd get a message from Farmery saying, guys, the beer's all sold out. Ginsburg bought it all.
Yeah, I think they have to limit Ginsburg's purchases, but there's still some beer there for the rest of you to get your hands on. Go.
Buy single cans, you can buy flats, whatever you need.
Whatever you need, they'll help you out, and tell them that Illegal Curve sent you. And even if you go to the Farmery and you don't buy our beer specific, that's okay too. Get a mix of all their great products, whatever you need. Dave's saying
you have to buy Illegal Curve. You have to buy Illegal Curve, but you can also buy, if you want to buy their advent calendar or you want to buy something else. We're not stopping you. We're not saying don't buy that, but again, also buy the Illegal Curve beer.
There you go. Dave M with the message. You got to listen to Dave M if you know what's good for you. Thanks, everyone, for joining us all day today. It's been a fun day. Enjoy your Saturday. We'll be back on Tuesday. IllegalCurve.com rolls on. Smash the like button. Subscribe if you haven't already done so, but I'm sure you've already done so. For Dave Manouk, I'm your host, Drew Mandel. This has been the Illegal Curve post-game show.
Thanks for listening to this broadcast from Illegal Curve Hockey. For more great Illegal Curve content, subscribe to the Illegal Curve YouTube channel, follow @IllegalCurve on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and visit your online home for hockey in Winnipeg, IllegalCurve.com.